What's happening, roadies? This is Barbara Copeland.
This is Hank Fury.
What's happening, roadies? This is Juno Black, and you're listening to Roadie Free Radio.
What's up, roadies? My name is Larry Milburn, and this is Roadie Free Radio, your VIP pass to meet and greet the stars behind the scenes of the music and film business. All right. What's happening, roadies? Welcome to Roadie Free Radio. Yes, this is your host, Larry Milburn, coming at you from a barn in Northwest Connecticut. If you are a new listener, thank you for swinging by and checking out the show and being a part of this community. If you have been a part of this community for the last 110 episodes, I want to thank you. I want to throw my arms around you because I love you. Listen, this is my second time doing the intro because I have some serious ghosts in the machine. My wife would tell you that Mercury is in retrograde and shit is just getting all jammed up. So I had to pull everything off my board and run straight into the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2, which maybe should just be my main driver into the laptop to record and do the show. I don't know. It's a whole thing. But do not forget, Saturday, December 8th, my friends, coming up in just short of 2 weeks, I will be at Lagon's Music in Elmsford, New York, moderating a panel discussion. It's not even really a panel discussion. It's more of a chat. Let's call it a fireside chat with tour manager Rich Neeson and audio legend Nightbob, two New Yorkers who are going to tell us about their time on the road. The show is called Peeking Behind the Curtain, Rock and Roll Life on the Road. You've heard me talk about it. I'm super excited. It's in Elmsford, New York. Head over to lagondmusic.org. That's LAGOND music.org for org. Doors open at 6:30 p.m. Showtime is 8 p.m. It's going to be fun. We're going to reminisce about their time on the road. We're going to learn some new stuff, get some advice. And, if this one goes well, hey, we're going to do more of these things. If you don't live in the tri-state area or you can't make it, I know there's holiday parties and things going on. No problem, man. Here's what you can do. You can tune back in December 10th because I'm going to record this fireside chat, as it were, and that is going to be the episode on December 10th, which will be episode 113, because next week for episode 112, we've got sound engineer Danny Segowis on the show. Very excited to have her, sound girl. But in 2 weeks, we will have the Peeking Behind the Curtain Rock and Roll Life on the Road. So head over to lagonmusic.org and check out the show. How was your guys' Thanksgiving? Did you have fun? Did you get a little time off? Did you have a little family time? Did you have too much family time? That's the other thing that can happen, right? A little too much family time. If you worked, as I mentioned in the Thanks Happy Giving Day episode a few days ago, if you happened to work, if you were filming, if you were putting on a show, if you were playing a show, any of the above, if you were providing entertainment for somebody else on Thanksgiving, thank you. We appreciate what it is that you do. Anyway, I hope you guys are all well, and it's good stuff. Also, have not done a Q&A in a while. If you've been listening to this show, you can probably see the pattern with me that I get super excited about something, and I want to tackle a lot of stuff, but I do it, and then I sort of spiral out because of a work commitment or a family commitment, and it's tough to get back in the groove, but I really want to do those Q&As. I think they were beneficial. I think you guys enjoyed them. I was getting some great suggestions, so please hit me up at info@roadiefreeradio.com. That's info@roadiefreeradio.com, and let's film them. Let's get your questions answered, and let's make some connections for people. Also, with the holidays coming around, that means there are more gigs going on for some of you musicians out there, and for some of you solo musicians out there, or for some of you musicians that are using tablets to remember your lyrics or your set lists or whatever it is, or you're trying to film yourself. head over to airturn.com. They have a lot of amazing, cool solutions for not only musicians, but also audio engineers and people, and just, people in studios. They've got killer Bluetooth setups, foot control pedals. They've got items to hold your tablets, and they've got the AirTurn Go Stand, which is my favorite travel full-size boom stand that collapses down even to smaller than your average boom stand. It's a very cool mic stand. Check it out. It's called the AirTurn Go Stand. If you use the code RODIE, when you check out over at AirTurn, you'll get yourself 20% off your entire order. 20% off, pretty good deal. So use the code RODIE when you head over to airturn.com. All right, listen, this week we got Miss Juno Black, originally from Bogota, Colombia, and made her way to Boston, to the Berklee College of Music, then down to New York City. And then finally, she has found her home and her place in Austin, Texas, great city, where she does a lot of stuff. Video, audio, photography. You can find her at junoblack.com. All those ideas, links, and show notes and whatnot are in the show notes of the show. So you can just find those on her page at roadiefreeradio.com. And we had a great chat. We hooked up at AES through my friend Night Bob. I know you're listening, pal. Thank you for all of your work here and helping funnel some guests to us. And guys, I'm open. I am open to suggestions. So if you have some ideas for someone you think would make a good candidate on Roadie Free Radio, please hit me up, info@roadiefreeradio.com. All right? So I'm glad y'all had a safe, good Thanksgiving. We are barreling toward 2019. Let's start making those lists. Let's start getting those resolutions down of what we're going to do, because together we are going to accomplish a lot in 2019. But we got a few weeks left to go and a lot of good stuff coming out. All right, so buckle up, grab yourself a cup of coffee, have a smoke, roll one up, whatever you got to do to make yourself cozy and comfortable. And let's kick it with Miss Juno Black.
Hit it. Call yourself a roadie. Call yourself a roadie. Call yourself a roadie.
Juno, the last time I saw you, we were standing on the floor at AES in New York City at the Javits Center, gearing up for an awesome time. I think you had just gotten there. How did it end up for you?
Oh, it's great. Like, AES is one of my favorite things to do. You get together with all these people from different places, good old friends, new people like you, and you just nerd out, like talk about gear, like see all the new toys, and gives you a lot of insight. The most important part are the seminars for me.
Right.
Like, it's like seeing how other people in the industry do things and being able to communicate with them is very important to advance your own career, I feel.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that's one of the cool parts, like you said, about going to these, going to NAMM, going to AES, whatever it is like, for me doing the show, a lot of times I only meet people through the Skype interview. So to actually go and see them in person is super cool. And then, like you said, to go sit in on a seminar, hear what people are doing, or just have someone there, on the floor that you can pull aside and be like, hey, I'm a big fan of how you do X, Y, and Z. How the fuck do you do that?
Yeah, exactly. There's people that have encountered other circumstances that you haven't, and you have encountered some circumstances that they haven't.
Yeah. So
you're able to like talk about these things and see how people solve issues. And the gear is a fun part of it, but again, like, it's just the human aspect, like just meeting with people. What makes me try to go to as many of those as I can.
Sure. You were, I think when we met, you had just stepped out of a Mix with the Master session?
Yes, correct.
What was that? What'd you go see? Or who'd you go see?
Well, there in Mixing the Master, there was Greg Wells talking, and he was talking about producing and why not, like how he does things,
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting, like all of the different small kind of germs that have grown in terms of like promoting education.
Yeah.
There's obviously the commercial aspect of X, Y, or Z kind of gear, but at the end, it's not all about the gear. It's just how people think about doing their job. What interests me about those kind of sessions.
Sure. Was there gear there that you saw? Actually, no, let's back that up. Was there anyone there that you saw that you've always wanted to meet that you finally got to meet?
As a matter of fact, Leslie, who won the Life Achievement, she runs the audio department for Lucasfilms.
Yeah.
And she's been doing that for years, and is one of the most revered like women engineers that I can think of. All of these credits starting with Star Wars. So, So that was really important for me. Like we have in AES a new woman president, and that's very important as well.
Yeah.
I've been working with this organization called Sound Girls, and Carrie.
I think I know them.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah.
So it's really, I think the industry is really changing, and it's very important to have an inclusive, a wide, open amount of people of diversity working in, and accepting and like observing, like validating the work that some people do.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, it's funny you said, because I'm in a rabbit hole right now of watching Netflix, the hip hop evolution documentary. I don't know if you've seen that.
Oh yeah, that's a pretty good one.
So awesome, right? So the second season just came out, a couple weeks ago, and I'm like almost done with the whole thing. But there was a woman just talking last night in it about how we don't want to be seen as women or anything different. We just want to come to rhyme, and I think that's part of the Sound Girls mission. And I think at the core, like most women's feeling who want to get into the industry on this side of it, right? Is like, don't look at me as a woman. Just judge me on the fact of, does my mix sound good? Am I on time? Can I do my job? And do you want to hire me again? Right? Am I fun to be around, basically?
Yeah, I think it grows further than our industry. I think like socially, we're kind of in a crossroads about the old paradigms of like division of work, and like how there's certain things are only made and only reserved for men, and certain things are only reserved for women. Like we're understanding that it's more of a sea than just like two little streams.
Right.
And I think that is very important.
Absolutely. So, all right. So listen, let's dig a little deeper into your story here now.
Okay, that sounds good.
You're currently in Austin, Texas, right?
I am.
That is now your home base. You were a New Yorker for a bit, right?
Yeah, 9 years, almost 10. Yeah, almost 10 in New York.
Wow.
It's New York has a lot of opportunities, a lot of things, and I'm very grateful for the time. But there's two things: is like too crowded, too big, too expensive.
Yeah, and
I always say that New York is like a bad boyfriend. Like you love it, you can't leave it, but like still it hurts you.
Yeah. I do indeed.
But it's good to go, and I still love it. There's a lot of great studios. There's a lot of good people doing music, good venues. But I think like the landscape is changing, and I had this opportunity to come to Austin, and I don't know, I took it, and I'm really happy about the decision. I really love Austin.
Yeah, Austin's a great city, man. It must be a shit show during South by, right? I mean.
Oh yeah, I mean, like there's always like certain things that are like pretty busy, but that's good too.
Yeah.
It's a center in some ways in the music, especially in live music.
Sure.
There's a lot of people that come here to showcase, which is great.
Yeah, and I guess at that time it provides an opportunity for work for people like you.
Yeah, I'll try to avoid it though.
Right, I guess then there's that too, right? You probably all take off. You're like, fuck this, man. Crazy.
Yeah, no. South by as a work space is interesting because most places is lower paid, and you're doing like 20 bands in a day. Like is not as rewarding. So I try to assist to some of the events that I like to see.
Yeah.
But I mean, plus like the venue I'm working now, like it has me like pretty preoccupied like year round. So
right. And this is more of like a theater space, right, that you're in now?
Yeah, it's a theater performance space. Like pretty much 80% of what we do is live shows with national touring acts. But it's a really small space where it's a 300-seater.
Okay.
So it's unique in that way. Like it has been, is not like a big theater. So people go to see their artists in an intimate circumstance. And we've been upgrading all of the equipment to be able to do like 3-camera shoots with multi-track recording.
Nice.
Like a very good production level.
Yeah.
For a small space.
That's great.
And the audience love it, and the artists love it. It's really, really nice space. But it keeps me preoccupied all year round.
Right. And that's cool, right? Because you kind of know where your bread and butter's coming from.
Yeah, definitely. After years of touring and working with different people and owning my own studio back, it's been kind of like interesting to learn to manage a whole operation in live music.
That's
we do
great.
also private events, so we do like corporate events and we do weddings and so on and so forth when we don't have shows.
Right.
But yeah, 80%. We do some outreach. It's a non-for-profit, so we do a lot of education, and we have this scholarship. We send one person to Berklee every year.
Wow.
Someone who's so it is an interesting thing in my career to change kind of gears and go from like recording and teaching. I was teaching recording before into running a live venue that has all these other aspects to it.
That's so cool. So where are you from originally?
I am from Colombia originally. South America.
Where?
Bogota in
Oh, from
Colombia.
Bogota. I've been to Bogota.
Yeah, you have.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. I'm
Years-
always glad that people go there.
Yeah, years and years ago I went to Bogota. My cousin married a woman from Bogota, and so they had the wedding there. So we went as like a whole huge family went down there. It was great.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was very cool.
How did you like it?
I liked it a lot. I don't remember seeing much, to be honest. I think we did a couple of little excursions. This was probably, this was like 18 years ago.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
This is probably like 2000, 2001. And it was very cool. I remember it was beautiful, but I also remember like you couldn't really go out at night unless you were like with a group, and it was a lot of that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, like that era for foreigners, people who were not in Colombia, was a little bit more tricky.
Yeah.
Things have changed a lot. I don't know, in some ways to the better, in some ways to the worst.
Right.
But I'm very grateful because like that's where I learned like the basics,
Right.
and then we didn't have like top of the line equipment, and we were dealing with like old PV mixers with like 4-band EQ on your masters, like, and you had to make it work,
Yeah. I think that's the best kind. I mean, that right there comes up on this show with guests more often than not, especially the guys and girls that came out of like CBGBs, for example, it was like, it was use what you have and figure out how to make that work. And then you're even more prepared when you go out on the road and you get to clubs that don't have great gear, and you're like, you know what, I got to use this thing. And you already have a lot of tips and tricks in your bag, as it were. So did you come from a musical family? What was the deal there?
Not really. No, not really. My dad is a university professor. He is an artist as well, but visual artist. And my mother is an interior designer. So I didn't like, I don't know, like my grandpa had a piano that was his sister.
Okay.
And nobody played it. And one day when I was like 8 years old, like I just opened the piano and just like was like, oh, this is cool. It makes all these weird sounds, and it can be loud and it can be quiet.
Yep.
So I decided right then and there that I wanted to learn how to play it. And that's how everything started. Everything went downhill. Right. I actually, like, my cousin was taking piano lessons. So I asked him, can you give me your teacher's phone number? So I called him and I was like, yeah, I want. So he came to the house. My mom didn't even know. And like she thought he was my dad, and she was like so confused, like that had called the piano teacher.
Right.
"No, I'm the piano teacher," and my mom was like, "What? Why are you here for the piano teacher?" Like, like.
That's funny.
And then I was like, "No, I call him. I want to learn the piano. How much would it cost?" And he was like, "Well, it will be like, I don't know, like $20 for whatever. I can't remember how much it was." I was like, "Yeah, that's how much I have saved. Like, can I learn the piano in one class?"
Ambitious. I like it.
Yeah. When my mom saw that, then she paid for the lessons, and that's how I started.
How long did you take piano for?
Oh, I studied piano for quite a bit, and that's my main instrument. I play it, and I used to play it more professionally.
Yeah.
But like when I was younger, I would go to play, and there would be people that didn't know how to make a band, because there's a lot of acoustic sax or salsa bands, like percussions, and but when we came with like a rock band, like to play places, they were like, "I don't know how to do this."
Yeah.
And I could not communicate how I wanted things to sound, so I started learning sound to be able to communicate with the people that did sound for my bands.
Wow.
And then I went that way. Like, I was like, "Oh, I can make more money doing this."
So from 9 years old, you started playing the piano. Then I know you started playing bass too, right?
Yeah. When I first got to America, I realized that bass players were in more demand.
Yeah.
And it was easier, because you can take the subway with the bass, and everybody had like a bass amp or a DI to plug in. But if you had a piano, you had to hold the piano, hold your keyboard, it was like way more complicated, and there was more demand. So I started like learning bass when I got here to college, and
nice.
I played bass with bands for a while.
What brought you to the States initially?
Well, initially, I mean, a conjunction of things.
Yeah.
But basically, I had won a scholarship for a class in Berklee, in Boston.
Yeah.
A few of my friends were going there, so we made a plan, and I didn't know, but Berklee was too expensive, still too expensive, if you ask me. Like,
they're all fucking expensive.
Yeah, and then I don't come from a place of money, and I couldn't get it, and you can't get, like, when you move here, even if you move here like legally, you can't get any support for education,
Yeah.
So I forgo that idea, but I stayed. I ended up going to a place called the Massachusetts Communication College.
Okay, I was gonna say, your education list here, there's like 5 schools.
Oh yeah, I jumped around.
Well, wait. So, when you left Bogota, you were how old? And had you ever left before?
Yeah, I had left before.
To come to the States?
When I left Bogota, no, for the States. I actually came here around the time that you went there, like in 2000.
Okay.
And no, I had left Bogota. I traveled around Colombia. I lived in Cali.
Yeah.
I had gone to the coast, to Santa Marta for a while, like in Bogota, from Bogota. But I wanted to come here, and I wanted to, learn more and be in a place where the music that I like was born.
What was?
I do think that like the biggest cultural representation of America is blues and jazz, and from that you have rock and roll, and that's is American music. So I wanted to be in America to experience like the place and the people that were making that kind of music here.
So that's what I was going to ask you, is like, what were you listening to in high school? What were you playing with your bands in high school as you'd show up to these gigs? to play rock and roll? Like, what were you guys?
Yeah, I
playing?
mean, like that was Hair Nation era, you know.
yeah, right.
Like so I was listening to like White Snake. I was listening to Iron Maiden, like I don't know, like rock and roll bands.
Yeah.
But then that took me to blues, you know. So I was listening to a lot of Stevie Ray Vaughan and
Yeah.
a lot of the contemporary blues acts, but also to the basics, you know. And that took me to jazz, and then I started learning like the connection of jazz and how it was created, and I really went for a while into that aspect of music, you know. And it's really I was always intrigued by improvisation. How could you? Because when I was learning, like I learned classical piano. I didn't have a jazz education. I learned like how to read, and I learned how to play what was written.
Yeah.
But like it always, like when I heard, when you hear like Miles Davis or Coltrane, or like you see all of these kind of like direct connection between your emotional state and your mental state, and it comes out as music.
Yeah.
And the ability to do that like always intrigued me. I was never as good as that, you know.
Sure,
but,
sure. That's hard, man. That's hard. It's hard stuff to channel. I know from playing guitar. Same thing.
You know.
Yeah.
But that was kind of like what interested me on that. And I've worked with great musicians that can do that, and that makes me like really happy. You know, like because like coming here has been like really, especially being in New York for a while. Like I work with a lot of the people that I really wanted to see, you know, and it's been great. And here in Austin, like I'm very fortunate to work with great musicians.
Yeah,
so,
it's got to be insane in Austin, the amount of talent.
Yeah.
It's got to be incredible.
No, and like people that come, you know, that are classics.
Yeah. Did you know at a young age, having the name Juno Black, you were going to have a life in music?
Yeah, I mean, I always knew that was my world.
I mean, Juno Black, that's a pretty rock and roll name.
Thank you. Yeah, it is. I mean, I gave myself that name. So,
did you?
Yeah. I wanted. It's a convolution of things. Like took me to get it, and I've kept it like for about like 25 years now. You know?
Have you actually officially changed your name?
Yeah, I changed it. Like
Wow.
I went to court and made it official.
That's awesome, man. That's so cool.
Yeah, it is. I don't know. Like I felt like, you know, like I used to have a Juno. I still have a Juno keyboard, and every day I will take it up and pack it up and take it up, and I will see the name, and I just loved it. You know, like I was like, yeah, this sounds like me.
Yeah.
So I don't know. At some point, like,
Was Black your last name or no?
No, that was kind of inherited. But like it works, so
Absolutely.
I'm still here.
That's what I mean, man. When I met you, when Night Bob, you know, was like, you got to meet this woman, Juno Black. I was like, fucking Juno Black. What a great name. Rock
Well,
and
thank
roll.
you.
That's tremendous. So were you scared to come here? Were you super excited? You weren't even coming to New York. You were going right up to Boston, right? Because you're going to Berkeley.
Yeah, I mean, I was really scared. Like I had never come, and I didn't speak English as well.
Yeah.
That wasn't my main thing, like the language barrier.
Yeah.
I mean, I had learned English, but I didn't spoke it fluently.
Sure.
And
Sure.
that was like really scary.
Yep.
But you overcome those difficulties.
Yeah.
You know, it is difficult to move to a different place.
Absolutely.
It's difficult to try to understand how culture works and how people are. And some people like you, some people don't.
Yep.
And you get some opportunities, but also like people try to use you a lot because they see an advantage.
Right.
Especially if you have certain kind of talent.
Yeah.
You know, like one kind of talent, whatever it is, like, you know, like some people are really good at construction, so they try to, you know, they use them, and then like it's like paying them nothing, you know. So same happened in the audio industry, you know, like
Of course.
It's like, oh, you can't, so I'm gonna pay you under the so here's like $20,
Right.
and then you kind of like feel obligated to do it,
Of course.
because it's like, and then you're excited because it's like,
It's an opportunity.
an opportunity to do it.
Yeah. Oh my God. So, but what about in terms of the talent? Did you feel like, when you're going to Berklee, were you like, holy shit, I'm totally in over my head? Or did you feel like you could hold your own for a while?
Well, when I started there, like there was a lot. I mean, it was a lot of good things that came out of me going there for a semester. But I felt that it was too hyped up, and there were people with amazing talent. Like I wasn't that good.
Yeah.
For me, like I was like not that good at playing as I thought I was. If that makes sense.
Sure.
But I understood that what I could do technically and what I could do like in recording, that always has come. Like I always have had like this easy to understand machines. Like I understand the thinking of engineering. Like is like it goes with my personality, and I understand how things are like made and why they're made together.
Yep.
And how they work. It's easy. It's very easy for me to understand. So almost immediately, I got a niche in helping other people, and those relationships like kind of flourished into collaborations and work over time. It's like.
When you went to Berklee, was it with the focus that you were going to be a musician, or at that time had you already decided, well, I'm gonna get into production?
No, I was definitely like trying to learn the technical aspect more than anything else, because I had been I went to music school in Colombia, conservatory, and I had been there for 3.5 years, and I was almost done. And then like I had like a patch of like bad financials and I couldn't pay. And, I got a job at Tower Records, and I worked at Tower Records for 3 years before coming here to save the money to come here. And
to come to the States. You worked at a Tower Records in Bogota. In Colombia.
Yeah. To come here, to save the money to come here.
Yeah.
And, so I was like really focused on like, I want to learn more about how to use digital audio. That was my main thing. Like I want to learn how to use Pro Tools and digital audio, which was like, just starting to to flourish, and it changed everything. But because like at that time, it's weird how people don't realize that, and now everybody's like, oh, tape and cubes and like all the classic stuff.
Right.
But at that time, I remember going to the studios which were like nationally owned. Yeah. And you will have like 9-foot Steinways and Pultecs and like like tape machines, like all like kind of like rubbled up, because like people were, oh, that's the old equipment.
Of course.
And they were replacing like like Halrek or like Neve boards with like
the keyboard.
Tascams, like Tascams and like which is not bad. Like I love Tascam, by the way. Like at the time, like
Yeah, no, I hear you.
But I wanted to learn like new technology.
Yeah.
That almost nobody like really understood.
Sure.
At the time in Colombia, where I was like, like a few people did, but most people still were, in the straight up traditional tape.
Right.
Like kind of like workflow. And
that must have helped though in some aspects for you. It must have helped you because you kind of became a go-to person. Oh yeah.
No, definitely. I mean, when I came in, like it helped me like really embraced all of these, and without it, like, because like even when I came here, like everything was like, everybody used ADATs or DA88s, which were like cassette-based, like multi-track. And, all of these cheaper technology, the digital technology was starting to come up. But, like just working on the computer was just having the opportunity to go and work in this environment like allowed me to master it.
Sure.
So a lot of people like really like wanted that. They wanted to be able to edit, and they wanted to be able to do these things that you can't do in tape.
Yeah.
Although I love working with tape, and I had that experience, which is really good. Now everybody's like, oh, like, and I've gotten like circumstances that people are like, oh, you know how to work a tape? Yeah. So like I've gotten work because I knew how to work a winch and work in a traditional workflow,
That's awesome. So how did your parents take it? Do you have a big family?
No, it's not that big. Like I have a brother, a sister, and my parents.
So first your parents have to deal with you leaving Colombia to come to the States alone. And then you make the transition out of Berklee that you're not going to continue, right?
Yes.
How did all that play out?
Well, at that point, like I was like my parents, like I think after I was like 15, I stopped asking permission, and I just started like just telling them what I was gonna do.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like how the relationship has gone. Like,
yeah.
Like I love them, but I'm not, so I'm sure it has had like heavy times, especially because like at the beginning, like these didn't exist.
Right.
Like you couldn't do like Skype or like, you had to buy these cards for international calls and, like still like in small cases, like I had a fight with AT&T because they were charging me like $800 for a call. Like I was like, no, I'm not going to pay you $800 to talk for like 1 minute,
Right, exactly. Oh, man.
So that aspect was difficult for them, I bet.
Yeah.
But I mean, as I said, I kind of like always have had like this single-minded like kind of focus. It's like I have to do something with music and around music. Not necessarily. I gave up like the dream of being a rock star, but like it gave me the dream of being who I am.
Yeah. You think you have a good work ethic? Did you have a good work ethic back then?
I've learned.
You've learned.
I've learned. There's been moments, and you learn, and when you're younger, you're more like, you want to spend your time doing other things, so you're more loose.
Right.
But working in professional environments like force you, because you lose jobs. Like if you're not ethical and you're not dedicated and communicative, like learn how to communicate, like learn how to tell people, like if something happens, things happen. Everybody understands that, but just talk about it and own it.
Right.
Right. If you can't be on the gig on time, just call and say, I'm not going to be on the gig on time.
Yeah.
Just don't call.
Did you
they don't call you back.
Right. Exactly. Did you have growing pains? Did you have situations where you just missed the mark? You just fucked up and you had to sort of learn like, oh, I have to be more responsible and stuff like that? Or was that stuff that you kind of got inherently from the start?
No, I learned it. I think
you learned it the hard way.
I had situations in which like people, will call up on me and be like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was really lucky. When I was in Boston, my first professional employment was with a sound company there, which is called Myrna Johnston Audio, MJ Audio, in Boston. And that experience was my first experience working in a professional environment. Really hard work, but I learned a lot from being there. And both Myrna and this woman called Moira Shea, really taught me how to do live sound. Because up until that point, I had done live sound for years, but I had never done it at that level.
Right. Right. Yeah, you sort of did what you knew how to do, right?
Exactly.
Sort of figuring it out, band-aiding here and there. But now you're in your first professional setting.
Yeah, in a professional setting, and
Yeah.
and that gave me a lot of opportunities, but also like taught me, uh, uh, like they were really patient with me at the beginning. I guess, and and that helped me, because it
Sure.
helped me understand that,
Yeah.
you really have to take it seriously, even
Right.
though it's fun, you know.
Yeah, of course. Well, yeah, you do have to take it seriously because there's a show on the line, right?
Yeah, I mean, like if you mess up, like you can mess up like everybody's like experience and situation,
Right.
you know.
Right. So that's
And
cool. So they sort of took you under their wing and
yes,
helped guide you. They were kind of mentors for you.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
how long did you like when you stopped after that first semester at Berklee? Was it a year before you went to your next school and you just were working or
No, no, because I had a student visa, so I couldn't stop studying.
Got it.
Like that's how I got here. I had a student visa, so I went immediately. So I went to school for 2 years and a half
Yeah.
in the States. And then, something happened and it was like really hard. I fought the government for 5 years and finally they gave me my residency. So,
Let's just take let's just hold on one second right there. So what do you think? I mean, you came here 18 years ago ish, right? You worked your ass off to get here. You've made opportunities for yourself. You've been helped and you're working and you're in a great spot now and you've taught people along the way. You just hit on something and I'm just curious for you, you fought this battle for 5 years to finally get your residency. What do you think when you look around what the fuck is going on now?
it's really disappointing.
Yeah.
I think like we had corrected some of the course after the Bush administration, and like kind of like we were going towards a more, an operation of government that was more reflective of the realities
Yeah.
of the world in the ground.
Right. Right.
But I don't know. I don't see what's happening in a good light. I think it's really sad that, to realize that there's still like a lot of people that are afraid, that they're afraid of people that don't look like them or they don't sound like them or they're different,
Yeah.
And this vilification of people from other origins is just like absurd.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's disappointing, you know?
Yeah. That's interesting. I mean, you got to feel lucky on some accounts, right? That you came when you came.
I don't think there is much of a difference actually.
You don't?
I think like the people who are coming into the country now, like there's a lot of people that are going to be in my same situation and in worse situations, because I mean, people think like, oh well, why don't they come legally? But there's no avenues to do it.
Right.
And even when you come legally, like it's really hard to maintain that legality.
Right.
Which is what happened to me. Like I ended up being illegal, not because of my own doing, but because of administrative stuff in a school.
Right.
Like somebody who like didn't understood and missed the deadline, and I was illegal. Because of that. Or because of the fact that I didn't have enough money to pay them on time, or like, different things, and like other circumstances, like like you face, or I have faced like abuse and difficult circumstances in with authority, let's put it that way.
Right.
But I don't know. I have an ability to confront every situation in a methodical way, and try to understand everything about it, and I never take no for an answer. Like there's always has to be a very strong reason for me to say like, oh, okay, no.
Right. Right.
But I'm not the kind of person that like somebody says no and I just walk away. Okay. And like I'm why are like what is the big deal about this?
Right.
And when I had that, like I went to several lawyers, and lawyers wanted like $10,000 and told me like, well, you have a 5% chance, and you have to pay me $10,000. And I was like, no, no, like I'm not gonna do that. And others said like, no, I can't take your case. You have to go back.
Wow.
And I mean, it took a lot of mental and emotional and kind of dedication to keep going and just like go to court and like be able to stand there and find I was really lucky to find a lawyer that understood my situation and was willing to help, even if he wasn't like getting
a big paycheck.
Even if he thought like I didn't have too much of a chance, like he kept being by my side, and I mean, like I paid him a lot of money too, but like, but like finding like the right circumstance and keeping like confronting that situation and eventually like it came out, but it wasn't easy.
Well, it's gotta be so fucking hard, because it's hard enough, right, to follow your dream. It's hard enough to be a freelancer following your dream and keep work coming in and find new work and build those relationships. And then on top of all, and that has its own whole stresses, right? And then on top of that, people are telling you got to go. You're not supposed to be here. You can't be here. Like, whatever the circumstances are. And now you've got to fight that on top of it. It had to be very tough. And I applaud you for hanging in there and keeping the faith.
Yeah, I mean, I feel very lucky that I was one of the few that managed to overcome that system.
Sure.
I mean, my circumstance, like the thing is, like, when you face this kind of situation, there's always different points of view. And it's a matter of luck too, like if you get the judge that has certain point of view, like it's going to be really hard to swing him over,
right?
And have like in my case, I was lucky that I found I got handed like a very kind of like middle of the ground person, that seemed to be reasonable up to a certain extent. But still, it took me 5 years of going to court periodically, and sending the same documents in the same situations like thousands of times.
Yeah.
Because you send a package like this of papers, explaining your circumstance.
Sure.
And then they come back like, it's like, oh, you didn't send this. And then like you have to send it again, and then like it's like, well, here it is, and then you have to spell it and bullet point it and like index it and itemize it, so they
right,
because a lot of the times in those aspects, like the form is over the substance. So I feel for the people that are coming here like trying to escape a bad situation, because like they have no other option, and they're not going to stop. I mean, why someone escaping? Like if here, like look at the people in California,
right?
Like they have millions of dollars and they lost it all, and they had to escape out, and like it's the same thing. Like
right.
It's human nature. You escape through the situations that you don't like, you flee danger.
Yep.
It's just like the way we act.
Sure.
And try to put like a ton of like, mental barriers that are not there.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, I think like what's going on is really disappointing, and but I'm hopeful. I see that there's like a counteraction. Every action has a reaction, and like I think like there is a reaction happening that hopefully will bring us closer to an ideal.
Yep. Good. I'm glad you feel that way. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I think it is. And in music, you see people that come from all these backgrounds and have had like all these experiences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, bringing it back to your love of jazz, right?
Yeah. I mean people here, that, I mean, like that wonderful music was evolving from a really bad abuse circumstance, and that's where it came from, and that's the beauty of it.
Yep, absolutely. All right, so tell me about getting to New York. We'll jump off the political thing now and tell me about New York. Now you leave Boston, and you're finally getting to New York.
Boston was like really good, and I had like a lot of good, but Boston became a little bit small for me.
Yep.
And I was getting a lot of work out of New York. So for a while, I was like living in Boston, but I would commute to New York regularly to do recordings and to work. I started working more on small films. So people would call me to score or record scorings for films.
To actually record it or to play?
Well, most of it to take charge of like the
session,
the scoring, so I would hire an arranger and have the ideas written down, and then I would go to New York to record it.
Cool.
Most of the time, that's because that's where the directors or the people the producers were, so I would do the ideas in my studio in Boston, and then like send them over, and when they were happy with what we were doing, I would go and actually hire the players and go record it.
That's awesome.
But so I started thinking that it would make more sense to go to New York, but the culprit was due to the bed bugs. Look, I got bed bugs in my apartment, and that's terrible,
That's the worst.
And I was like, my lease was up, and I was like, I had bed bugs. I was like, I'm going to leave everything behind and go to a new place.
Wow.
And that's when I kind of like a whole, I got like a film job, and I was like,
I'm out.
I'm just moving to New York. I'm just going to go there.
Yeah.
And, it was a ride.
Yeah, you loved it, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I love and hate New York.
Yeah.
It is kind of like that for me. I mean, it's awesome, the amount of people that you get in contact with. It's great, the amount of work that you can make.
Yep.
But then, after a few years, I was like, where am I going?
Yeah. So why not Nashville or Los Angeles afterward? Why Austin?
I like Austin. I've been all over the United States. After a while, I ended up doing mostly touring. That was the last maybe 3 or 4 years that I was living in New York. I was touring. So part of the thing was, why am I paying $2,000, $3,000 in New York if I'm not going to be here?
Right.
And I can tour from anywhere. I can fly from anywhere.
Yep. Yep.
Why not LA? I love to go to LA, but I don't want to live there.
Yeah.
I don't like the environment as far as living.
Yep.
In there.
Yep.
Nashville is a weird place to me, because there's some of the best studios, and there's studios everywhere, and everybody's recording.
Yeah.
But the ambience of the city also I don't like it as much, you know.
Yeah.
I tried Miami, I tried Atlanta. In both places I was there for 3 to 6 months.
Yeah.
But I don't know, Austin fits my personality.
Awesome.
It's not as big.
Yep.
It's not as big, and there's still a lot for the. It's growing, but there's still a lot, and surprisingly, it was a place that I found it was easy to interact with people that don't do what you do.
Yep. Yep.
Because in New York, you end up like making friends with people that are doing things in your vein of business.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And I feel in New York is work, 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 work.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
I don't know. Like I feel like if you go to Miami or LA, it's almost like, okay, how much money do you have? You know, how do you look? You know, how pretty you are. You know.
Yep.
Nashville has a different connotation to it, you know, but it's like really hard for as a foreigner that has an accent to access some of these places.
Yep.
You know. Whereas I don't know, in Austin, people are really accepting, and I felt at home. Like when I came here for the first time, I was like, oh, this is cool. Like I feel very comfortable here. And when I moved in here, like I felt at home, and that's why I haven't left.
That's great. All right, so let me ask you this: as we start getting close to the end here, you play, you score, you teach. You do, sound design and broadcast, audio and whatnot. You work at this space now. You do a lot of different things. You've been on the road. Where are you most comfortable? Where's the happy place?
There's both. You know, I kind of like go back and forth. I'm kind of bipolar in that sense. If you might, you know, like I go on the road or I'm doing live sound and I love it.
Yep.
But you have the interaction of the people in real time. You have like the short-livedness of it. Like you have to do everything in a certain space, in a certain period of time. And it is what it is at the end of the day, you know. But I also sometimes love the studio, love being like on my own in like the little cave, like kind of like focusing on a snare for hours, you know. But that gets old after a while. If you're doing the studio for some time, like to me, I get bored about it.
Sure.
You know, not because of the work that I'm doing, but because of the environment a lot of the times.
Yeah.
You know, like you're like kind of very focused for long periods of time.
Yep.
In kind of isolated.
Yep.
You know, it's very isolating.
Yep.
Whereas like live sound is very open, and you know, so I kind of go back and forth, but I feel comfortable in both spaces.
Yeah.
You know.
But now with this particular job,
I love it because it is kind of like a hybrid. It's like something that I had never done, you know, and I'm learning a lot about like managing, you know, like dealing with plumbers and like roofers and, you know, like policy, you know, like working with the city and and that sort of thing, you know, like it's really different for what I had done before.
Right.
Even though it's all related, you know, but I love this space because it's kind of like a hybrid, and that's kind of like where we want to go. You know, it's like a small performance, intimate performance that will have a really high level of technical proficiency and professionalism to create like recordings and video of performances, you know, and you know, like the shows that we do are like it's really fulfilling to be part of like this multicultural place. Yeah. You know?
Yeah, that's awesome. Hang on one second. Sorry. So as you kind of, you know, stay in this thing, what do you get to mentor, right?
Yes.
Because you have people working for you, and do you seek people out? Are you proactive in that? Guiding people along and passing along what you've learned?
Yes, definitely. I mean, I love teaching. I love teaching. I love like being able to communicate and see people learn how to do something that they didn't.
Yeah.
You know, and that was part of what I was like really interested in this space, because like it's established place, but it had a lot of issues and a lot of things that needed help, you know, technically, like it kind of like needed like, so we, you know, like and obviously like some people didn't like that and left, because
right.
I was like, oh, we're tearing this place apart and we're building it back up, so
Nice.
we took everything down and re-rigged and
Wow.
like we're in the process of getting like new audio equipment and new video equipment, but also like physical aspect of it. Like we had to rebuild the facade because we had water damage and redo
Wow.
the floors. And so I've learned a lot of that aspect of it,
Sure.
and it was like, it's trialing because like it's a 300 seater. So like
Right.
finding and like maintaining the money, like you don't have like, $1 million budgets. Like everything is kind of like you have to take from
Yeah.
kind of borrow from Peter to pay Jane,
Right.
but like the owners are really really good people and they're established and they really allowed me to help them like rebuild the place, and it's been really good. Like
That's awesome. That's
I love
cool.
it. It's been a learning experience for me, but also it allows me to like expand that and like kind of like tell other people and illustrate them in other ways. It's kind of like repaying like the mentors that I have in a
Sure.
way,
That's great. That's awesome. Where do you see yourself, 10 years down the road? What do you want to do?
Well, I'm in the process right now of rebuilding my own studio. Like I really want to like build the studio from the ground up.
Yep.
Like buy a place, and I've been doing this plan for a while. Like just get a piece of land and build it from the ground up.
Wow.
It is. It's challenging because of the, like it's not cheap to do that.
Right.
But I think like that's my goal. Like in the next 5 years, like I want to like manage to start a place from the ground up.
That's very cool. Wow. Well, you got to have us over.
Yeah, like that's.
If I'm still doing the show, I'm coming out there.
Oh, please do. Yeah.
That would be tremendous. Juno, this has been very cool. Thank you so very much for sharing.
Thank you so much, Larry. It's wonderful that you're doing this, and I'm really glad that people listening get to understand a little bit more of us that usually are unregarded.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm doing it. How do people find you? What's the best way to find you?
You can go to my website. It's www.junoblack.com. Is the best way to go if you want to see the space that I've been talking about. Is the One World Theater in Austin with RE at the end. So it's oneworldtheater.org.
Cool.
Either way. You can come and call me and hang out.
You'll put them to work.
Yeah.
Painting something. Right? Fixing something. Juno, this has been great, man. Thank you so very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Larry.
Juno, great chat. Thank you for being on Roadie Free Radio and sharing your story with us. Folks, stay tuned next week, episode number 112. I got Danny Segowitz all the way from Germany. He's going to be on the show. You can follow us during the week at Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify, all as Roadie Free Radio. Check out the website, roadiefreeradio.com. Send me a note, guys. I want to hear from you. That's info@roadiefreeradio.com. And in the meantime, you all be safe out there. No roadies, no rock and roll.